the live session. Very welcome. For the people that don't know me or haven't been in touch with my resources, my name is Sonja Smal here. I'm originally from Cape Town, South Africa, been living in beautiful Netherlands for 33 years, married an amazing Dutch guy, been active in the arts in all different kinds of capacities throughout the years. I studied here in the Netherlands, worked in design and in the creative industry for many years, saw a great need among creatives to find ways to promote and to market their art. So started taking business courses, really getting an idea of what is possible for the creative world, for the creatives that are wanting to sell more of their work, and then using the online and offline spaces. And that's my joy, really, to help artists as a coach, as a course creator, and giving sessions like this in the Facebook community, just helping you take steps further, so you don't be paralyzed by that overwhelm or thinking, oh, I need to be some technical wizard to be able to do it, or need to be a marketeer, have an MBA in marketing to actually take those steps. It's not necessary. You can do it with so much technology available. You just need to know how. And that is my passion. I have a course, starts again in March 2021, The Working Artist. It's a comprehensive 12-week course to help artists go from ground zero to building systems around creativity, systems around your creativity, so that you can really have a path for the rest of your art career, how you can get your art out there. So you're not just surrounded by your own art. As beautiful as that is, but not the intention. So today, the 3 parts of a winning artist website to showcase and sell your art in 2021, and especially 2021, because the online space has never been more relevant and more important. And it's so busy. So how do you make a difference and differentiate yourself in these times? In a previous session, we looked at 3 strategies, because your website is part of a strategy. It's part of your marketing strategy. So don't opt out now. You think strategy, Sonja, just want to make my art. Just give me a simple strategy. Is just doing something with intent, doing something deliberate, something that you have thought about beforehand, not just posting online, not just throwing things on your website. You're doing it with a clear thought behind it. That's what you're going to be looking also at your website through those glasses of using a strategy, and that there were different kinds of strategies that need to be clear, specific, and manageable for you, because we're all different, we all have different personalities, different ways of working, finding a strategy that works for you. And one of those strategies, of course, is selling your art. We looked at offline spaces in the previous session, but specifically now we're going to be looking at the online space. We looked at the in-person way of selling your art, using email marketing to connect with your art audience in a more personal way, and the online space. And of course, in that online space is your website. That's where you need to start getting the attention so that you can sell your art online. The internet, just to give you some reference and to get you excited, that it is a huge growing market. Some numbers. Nearly 5 billion people, and it's growing every day, have access to internet and are actively using internet. So it's more than 60% than the world population. So geographically, your options have just opened up. It's no longer just the gallerist. It's no longer just selling locally, or you having to travel around from fair to fair with your collections, with your artworks, to connect your art with your art audience. You have at your disposal the Wi-Fi internet that you can potentially connect with millions of people. That wouldn't be a good strategy, because you don't want to just reach everyone. You want to get really specific about who you're going to connect, because your art appeals to a certain kind of person. And you can use all kinds of ways, images, words, how you lay out your website to speak to a specific audience. We'll be looking at that further in the teaching. The global art market is exploding online, especially this year, with a lot of art markets, fairs, expos, all closing. Unable to use that in-person moment have gone online. Galleries, museums, all have gone online. There's been software developed that you can use to have a virtual exhibition. So that space is very exciting. And your audience has had a year to get used to experiencing teaching, learning, experiencing art from their own living room through a cold computer screen. Because that's a totally different experience than when you're in a gallery and the music's beautiful and you've got a lovely drink and you have your tapas or whatever and you are informed and the gallerist is there and it's a beautiful ambiance. You now need to transfer that atmosphere into your online space on your website. That online market is growing. 10% of the art sales that were done, this is 2 years ago, were done online. And I think last year it just grown the statistics, or this year the statistics aren't known yet, but it's only exponentially growing. So people are not only buying art online, they are getting informed. So they are going, through QR codes or finding information about you as an artist. Immediately they go online. And what do people get when they Google your name? So maybe people don't have a URL yet. Maybe you're busy now with your website. What are people finding when they are typing your name in that search column in the Google? Good to search your own name. What comes up? Is that what you want people to find? And what can you do to change that so that your perception, the perception people have of you, matches reality about what you really want to communicate? The question and our big apprehension to get going with our artist websites must be the technology side. That's what I hear when I coach artists. The technology, just overwhelming, where do you start? A website, that's some kind of, they're bytes and bits and digital pieces online. You just want to be composing your painting and making your art. And hopefully by the end of the session, you'll be a little bit less apprehensive and a little bit more relaxed, that it's not the technology that's often the big problem or the big obstacle. Your wins are in different areas. You can DIY, of course, your own website. There are wonderful programs out there. The technology has become easier and easier so that you can DIY your own website or you can outsource it. And there are pros and cons for both. DIY, for example, there's Wix. There are many platforms. I just highlighted a few. And if you have experience with the platform and you're happy with it, just throw it in the comments so that other artists watching can glean from your experiences. And we have Squarespace, we have WordPress, there are all kinds of platforms you can DIY yourself. Great advantage is that you have far more control. You don't have to outsource, you don't have to contact a designer, a marketeer, or an external company, if you just want to change a photo, you want to change text, you have some event coming up, you want to add that to your website, you don't have to continually have that third party, which you're usually paying for, and very often paying for it quite royally. But it takes a lot of the work off your hands, and there are possibilities nowadays to outsource it. But do your homework. I've heard some horror stories of artists. I have a few myself when I outsourced work for my website when I started off, and you got a huge bill and the effect was just so limited, because you need to understand how an artist website works, that there's the front end and there's the back end, and that people are not just magically going to find you online. All kinds of things that you put on your website influence how people will find you. So you have to do your homework, whether the party that you are going to work with, whether it's locally, whether it's virtual, online, is a party for you, and they understand your vision. And can you communicate with them? Also just copy paste for them. They're just, doing hundreds a day and they all look the same. So really look for recommendations, ask friends, ask people that have worked with the companies, and what is their price, what's included in the price. Make sure you get everything on paper so that you are clear about the expectations. Here, Fiverr, for example, is a virtual platform that you can outsource not only your website, but also your content. Copywriters, That's our New Year's Eve. People are not allowed to have their fireworks on the 1st or the 31st. They are doing it today. So if you're hearing bangs and I'm jumping up and down, that's because it's the fireworks. Do you know that? Upwork is also a platform that you can use. It's just look at these websites. There are designers on there. Some of them have got great packages for you to use to get your website up and running. Your wins are in your preparation. Long before you think, oh, I need a web designer, your work on your website will start. It starts all with your preparation. What are you going to be doing? And why are you going to be doing it? Why are you making your website? It's not just because, yes, Sonia said, or, the world says, or artists should. It's a good idea to have a website. Yes, all very good. But what is the intention of your artist website? Everyone's needs are different. Some questions to know the answers to when you're starting on this website adventure, or maybe you have an existing website, is to think through these things again. Write them on paper, print it out. Why do you have your website? And what do you want your visitors to experience when they reach your website? What is the goal? What is it that you want to say on your website? And how are you going to say it? Because we're all at different points in our journey. And when you're a starter, you have something different to say than when you're an emerging or when you're an experienced artist. Everyone has a different place. It's not just, I'm going to throw all my artwork on there. I have contact details, all my social icons. I'm just going to throw it all on my website. I'm visible. Thank you very much. And now I'm just going to wait and sit and see that my work gets sold. No, that's not how it works. You need to be really clear about where you are on your journey and what is your end trajectory. Where do you want your visitor to be or go, or what you want them to experience once they hit that URL, your website address, arrive there? What do you want them to see, experience? Where do you want them to go? You are the great guide. You are the navigator of that online space. And there are all kinds of things that you can use to bring them from one to the other place in your website. Is it a digital business card that you have? We don't have so many business cards anymore that you go to cocktail parties and you're handing out your business card. Maybe that's what your intent is. You're just starting out. You have your Insta account, your Facebook, and then you have the URL of your website. So people are just simply finding contact details, finding out more about you. Very simple. That's where you maybe don't have a body of work or a collection or lots of products or items that you want to sell. That could be the option for you starting out. Just a business card, just a point of connection to start a conversation with your art audience. Is it to showcase your art? Is it a digital portfolio? Maybe you don't have a sales channel yet, or you're using a third party. So outside of your website, maybe an Etsy, your website you have, or using Saatchi Art, or you're using all kinds of artware. There's thousands of external platforms that have payment systems, all lots of pros to use them and some cons, but find out what works for you. So maybe it's just a place where you're showing a portfolio, or maybe you are working lots on commission, or you are licensing out your art. You want your clients to have a look at your portfolio and they can look online. So that could be a part of your strategy to use your website for that. It could be a place where you share your content, more of your process, so more of your artistic inspiration, photographs of your work. Maybe you have a blog or a podcast. It's a platform for content. And then you can bring it to promoting and selling your art. So let me know in the comments. I'm going to head over to the comments. What is the goal of your website? Just write it down, and then I'm going to be having a look. I see people using Weebly and WordPress, Squarespace. Definitely great to use Squarespace. because it's got beautiful templates for artists, very visual. But let me know in the comments what the goal is of your website. Are you clear about why you're making your website? Is it for selling? Is it for promoting? Is it for a portfolio? Is it just a digital business card? What is the goal? And if you're not clear about that, that would be your first step in this developing your artist website. Just let me know in the comments if you're clear about the goal of your website. Portfolio, I see, Sissy. Contact information, blog on your live, exhibitions, promotion. Okay, so all the different aspects. Are you selling, Sissy, on your site? Or is it more promoting? How are you going to be selling? Anya says initially as an art portfolio using Squarespace. They have great support, definitely. Yeah, if you're stuck, they're there to help you. But I want to change it to being a shop. There's content creation and promotion. I've know artists that have changed from their Squarespace. They've gone into Shopify. They've revamped the whole Shopify platform, which is a shopping platform, looking like their Squarespace space, but it has far more perks as far as a shop. So if you are really product focused, you want to sell, you have more products, maybe you have diversified your products, you've got reproductions, you have other products that are inspired by your art, then that's also a very good option that you can really build out a shop, because it gives you far more statistics, gives you far more control. So that's maybe something to think about. A digital portfolio. Jan says to connect with my audience, to sell my work. A digital business card. Okay, so for Sissy, it's more promoting. And a digital portfolio first, after a year, then promoting and selling. Great to have a step-by-step plan too, Sandra. That's very clever. So you don't think, oh, I'm starting out, or maybe I'm an emerging artist and I have to put everything on there. You take it step by step. And the advantage of that is that you can test things. You can see who is engaging with your artist website, who is responding to your content, and is it giving you the result that you need, that you were hoping. And then you can change and you can see, what is going to be working the best for you. So whether you're the starter, you're emerging, or experienced, there's a different trajectory for you, and you can grow. When you're emerging, you want to have more, to show your portfolio. You're going to have that body of work. You're going to exhibit a little bit more. You want to use your website to promote an event. You want to showcase more, having that selling platform. And when you're the experienced artist, you're doing more and more exhibiting. You're growing in your expert status. You want to have more contact maybe with the press. They're going to be, clients are going to be coming back, recurring clients on your website. They want to see more of your work, past archive work, a place where you have a press kit. So you have different needs in different places. And that will determine the goal of your website. So think through these coming days. What is it that you want to achieve? Because you're starting actually with the end goal. Where do you want to be? What do you want people to experience? And just once you get an idea, okay, I want the digital business card, or I want a portfolio, then you start brainstorming. What do I need? What ingredients do I need on my website to achieve that goal? What do they need to know about you? What do they need to see about your art, about your process, about your personality, about your products? These are all different facets. And when you are starting out, it'll be more about your personality, about you as a person, about an artist, about your trajectory as an artist and growing, your vision. You're developing a point of vision as an artist. And as you start maturing, of course, you'll have those beautiful photos of your work, and then you'll have that platform to sell. Distilling down to your core message. What is it that you want to tell people about you? You have those few brief moments that people are online looking at your website, what is it that you're going to tell them in a few seconds? Because that's ultimately what you'll have, and we'll go through that a little bit at the end of the training. You only have them for a few seconds to grab their attention. Unfortunately, we do have a flighty society. People are so distracted. So how can you capture their attention that when they come onto your homepage, they come onto your website, that you can grab them, that they know who you are, what you're doing, and hopefully a little bit why you're doing it. And that is all to do with the photos that you're choosing and the words that you're choosing. And where do you take them from there? Because that is the first step, getting them on there and then keeping them on there so that you reach your trajectory. They end up in your shop or end up signing up for your newsletter, end up reading more about you so that you stay top of mind. What is your goal? Break it down, do some brainstorming, and how are you going to say this? There are many ways, well, three main ways that we're going to be looking at, three parts. You have your images, and of course, as artists and creators, images play a huge part in the things that we are doing, and it's such an advantage. You have such a beautiful profession. Images place, they speak more than 1,000 words. So finding those right images, really being really critical in editing what image captures your essence, the essence of who you are, your vision, your art, that's what you're trying to communicate. Then we have words, very powerful, using the right kinds of words, not too many, not too few, and then the layout. So these are three main parts that you can use, three ingredients that you can use to create your website. That's what it is. Images. How can you represent yourself and showcase your art in the best possible way? Do you need to invest in a personal photo shoot? So maybe that's something for 2021. Scout around in your area. Are there photographers that do lifestyle shoots that can come into your studio or to your workspace, take photos of you for your About Me page, for your website, for your homepage, for your hero image, so that you can sort of intermix your photos that you make with your mobile, because this is a secret weapon, your mobile. You can do so much with your mobile nowadays, but you also need to have professional shots, because it's an expertise that photographers, they know just a little bit more about lighting. You can really elevate your message to such a higher level and differentiate yourself from all the other thousands of websites that are out there with murky pictures, or just they're not showing the best that they have. And just having those quality images sprinkled throughout your DIY shots just brings everything up to a higher level. And we all are visually orientated. So we're attracted to images, and images don't always say what we wanted them to say. They don't always communicate what we'd like them to communicate. So for you, important to think through what images can you use, what can you outsource, can you save up for a shoot, what can you DIY? And are you going to be using still or moving images? How are you going to intermix them? And then editing. Not just because you've taken a photo, you're going to slap it on your website. Social media is different. It's flighty, especially using Insta stories, Facebook stories. It's a 24-hour lifespan and it's gone. So if you have, and that's nice, it's like a sketchbook. You're showing your process, you're showing more about your life, your lifestyle, your products. You can use it to sell, to inspire, to educate. That's fine for DIY. But if you're going to use your website, it needs to be intentional. So you have to have that element of editing, really looking, comparing what images work the best. Not just be satisfied because it's an image and it's moving, what's a video, I'm going to put it on my website. Does it add to your message? Does it add to your end goal? Words. Words can articulate, can strengthen what you're doing. You have to remember, people aren't reading websites. We used to read websites because we made that transition from the newspaper, from magazines to websites. So the people, that was 15, 20 years ago, people would read websites. It was just text. There wasn't also the technology for a lot of image-based websites. But nowadays, we're have over consumations of information. There's so much information, and people are scanning. So when they go onto your website, they're scanning. So their eyes are just scanning, and you have to use words wisely. So what words can you sort of highlight, headlines that you use as people scroll? And that's great if they're scrolling. You're lucky then. That means they're a little bit more interested than just looking and leaving. What words are you going to be using where? So using those headline spaces, enlarging the typography, using colors and buttons so that you are leading them through the core of your message without having to write a lot of words, because people won't be reading it. So really editing also the words, using emotive words. People won't remember facts. They will remember how you make them feel. What emotion are you trying to communicate? It's the same with your art. It's not so much a rational thing, it's an emotive thing. When people buy art, it's an emotional thing. It touches them, stirs them, it disturbs them, it inspires them. And that's the same with your website. So don't start off with your homepage with a whole bunch of facts, whole bunch of information for people to read, because they won't be reading. Rather have that one image and 3 or 4 words that really, boom, encapsulate who you are, and get people like the teaser so that they scroll under the fold, that they're going to move forward down onto your website to see more. Adding differential layers. So what I mean is that you're not just a fine artist, or not just an artist. What makes you you? Maybe you are an encaustic artist that is inspired by tropical forests, that you have a real heart for the environment. That's part of your story. How can you put that in a few words and sentences on your homepage, on your About Me page, that really capture people like, whoa, in a sentence they understand who you are, what you're doing, and why you're doing it. These are all layers in words. And there are experts out there, copywriters, that are just so good, like photographers, that's their expertise, content writers, copywriters, that's their joy, is using words. So maybe you can also save up, or you have friends, people that are just good with words, or maybe you are good at it yourself, so that you find and filter words that articulate you the best possible way. Because you only have a few seconds. Remember, you only have those few seconds that you're going to have to touch people with the things that you're saying. And rather do less than more. Keep it simple. People are scanning. And then the third is the layout. And that's when we make the transition into your website space. Your images and your words are all done before there's a web designer, before you're going on to Wix or to Weebly or to WordPress. You are doing your homework beforehand. And that really is the hard part. It's the technology and the putting the right photo in the right place and laying it out. That'll be far easier if you thought about it, really thought about it before you even spend €1 on a web designer. You can do your homework. You can work it out. You can make mock-ups. Make sure that layout is easy to navigate so that it adds to your message. So it's not overcomplicated or crowded. We'll break it down in the next section. You are taking people where you want them to go. You are the navigator. And you can do that by your buttons, by using bullet points, by using white space. White space is a wonderful thing on a website. It's like that comma, it's like that pause in a sentence that you get people just to breathe a little bit as they scroll through your website. There's some white space, or there's some space where there's not something happening. Don't think you want to get value for your money. and you're going to pour everything onto your home page so that you really have all that real estate on your page filled, people will get totally overwhelmed. You just need to give them enough to keep going forward. And that comes through experience, having people look at your website, scanning through your website, see what you maybe have friends. Go through your website, see where they're stopping. Don't say anything, just see where they are moving the mouse. Where are they navigating to? Is it where you want them to go? That's all where you're going to lay out certain sections of your website. And then using your branding. Branding is all about identity. It differentiates you from the next artist. What your logo look like? What typography are you using? What colors are you using? How are you using that white space? How are you using buttons? There's just too much to go into detail now, but really getting a clear brand identity will help you. And I give classes about this. I'm giving an intensive about artist websites in January on the 14th. It's a Thursday. If you're thinking, oh, I really want to go deeper into these things, that's a great workshop. It's a mini course of 2 hours that will really help you, because we go into your brand style. What is your identity? Offline, because that's where it starts, in your studio, the art that you're making. What's your vision, and how does that translate on to the little illustrations that you're using, or maybe little doodles that you can add to your website just to bring personality. So it doesn't look like something that Weebly made or WordPress made, or it looks like all the copy paste websites that are out there, but to give your website personality. And that comes through branding and how you're going to lay that out throughout your website. A tip, because very often we see our websites, it's just a page, and then it's at 1900 by 1020, I think it is, depending on your screen, all those bits. But it's part of a whole system of how something is laid out. And a good tip to start off is just to take 2 pieces of A4 paper, paste them together, or if you're in the States, legal or letters size, and just print them together. So you have a long sheet of paper, because now you don't have a web designer yet. You are still on pen and paper. You're going to figure this out. You're going to wireframe your website. So this is something that you can think about. Copy paste, you can figure things out, you can do a layout, what information do you need, what sections do you need in your website, and where you're going to place them. And you can do it all offline, just with 2 pieces of paper. What you can do is then fold the top half of your paper about 5 centimeters, so 2 inches, at the top of the page and at the bottom of the page, just to give you a visual on your website. So this would be an illustration of your home page. You have what's called the header. That's the top part, like the head, and the footer. That's the bottom part of your website. And depending how large your website is, people will scroll, if all is well and you're doing your work the way you're supposed to navigate people over your website, you take them to eventually the footer. Throughout this experience, you have places where people can put their mouse, click on a button or click on a photo to take them to the next page. But we're going to start off with this page. Footer, header. And people always ask, but how long does my website actually need to be? What's the size of a good website? Then I always say, how many words and images do you need to reach your artist website goal? If you have a lot going on, like you're teaching, you have your portfolio, you have a web shop, you have a blog. This is a lot of information. How can you use those different elements to bring people to where you actually want them to go? Remember, if there are too many choices, people don't choose. So you need to make the choices for them. Keep it really, really simple. By laying it out, you can start seeing where do I place my information? the most important part of your website is the top part, which is called the hero image. So this is your home page that we're talking about in this instance. This is where people go when they type in your URL in the search engine, in the search bar, they come onto your home page, also called the landing page. That's where your URL will go. When we're looking at a desktop or something at the horizontal orientation, we have the header, and I do have a better example. I just want to do the show and tell. And here we have what's called the fold. The fold comes from the newspaper industry. That's like the fold in the newspaper. Everything that was above the fold was prime real estate. That was the most expensive part of a newspaper. Front page, above the fold. Everything that needed to be folded open was secondary. So this is taken, it's also in the website design. This is the fold. And that is different when you're on your mobile. Your fold is lower. It compacts the information. When you are on the horizontal desktop, laptop, or tablet, then of course it's more spread out. So you have to think of the different orientations. That's the fold. Above the fold, that's where people should have an idea of who you are, what you're doing, and why you're doing it, and where you want people to go. So think about what you're going to put there above the fold. Think of your layout. And then start wireframing. And wireframing is actually taking all the excess of color, design elements, or photos, just making a wireframe, like a bare skeleton of your website. Just drawing squares, colors, gray spaces where you want some text, and then you can start breaking down, because then your eye, as you're composing a painting the same, your eye will see whether it makes sense, and you can break it down in a wireframe. And something that's really good to do is also just to shrink down websites. Go and look online at websites that you really enjoy, that you really love to visit, artists that you admire in a genre maybe similar to yours, and shrink down their website. So here it's really Apple minus, Apple minus, Apple minus, Apple minus, and you shrink down so you see from the header to the footer. And it's not always possible. Sometimes it helps to do it on your tablet or your mobile, because that sort of brings everything further down. So then you have an idea of all the different sections. There's your hero section, here are photos, here's text, here's an opt-in form, here's an Insta feed, for example, and there in the footer you have social icons. So go and look at websites and shrink them down so that you have an overview of this layout and how you can detect and dissect to use things that you like in your own website. Just some terminology to get us on the same page. We looked already at the header. The search bar is obvious. That's on your computer when you're using Google. That's where you're typing in the URL. Then we have the header. That's everything above the hero image. The hero image is the main image above the fold. Usually in your header, you have a logo. So people identify it's your branding. People identify a logo, or they identify a certain color. And there's the navigation. So usually a place where people can navigate to certain pages that you've chosen very intentionally. And then there's the big call to action button, which is an action button. This is a link people can click on to where you want people to go. This is a very important part of your website, right there on the right-hand side in your header. Then we have hero. So that's an image, video, some words, not a lot. You have 5 seconds to get people to scroll beyond the fold. So people see this, they want to see, okay, you're a fine artist, you work in a tropical theme, you are maybe there's some differential layer that you are working in a certain type of technique, type of materials that are very distinct that you are using. They can see that in the photo, see it in a video, and just some simple text. So people then, okay, I get it. This is worth my 2 minutes. I'm going to scroll further. It's intriguing me. Then they come below the fold, and this is where you amplify what you're doing. So you are highlighting certain things, whether you have a collection that's coming out, you have a latest body of work, you have a workshop coming up. You can tell briefly about yourself. So this is not the About Me page. This is briefly introducing yourself. So it's like the teaser, it's the tapas of the things that you're doing. The home page is like an index. People get teased and get their appetizer to have a look. And you can change these. It's very dynamic, your homepage, because depending if you have a new piece or latest piece or a product that's specific for a season, like we just had Christmas, or something specially for a holiday or for a special occasion, you can highlight it here on your homepage with photos, just the right images that have been carefully edited, and buttons to where you want people to go. So that's either to a web shop, to your About Me page to find out more about you, to your latest blog post. Where do you want people to go? Depending on how you're going to fill in this space. Then we get to the footer that has your social icons. Don't put them in the header unless that's your goal. If you want people to come onto your website and then go straight to your social channels, then that is a strategy. But I would advise you put your social icons right there in the footer. People know, if they want to follow you on Instagram, they know how to find you. They will find that icon. And it's the same with other social icons or contact information. Put that in your footer, because you are going to take them where you want them to go. And you don't want them to leave your website straight away, but you want them to stay on your website. And then you need to have those buttons in the right place so that they stay where you want them to stay. So that is the framework. Keep in mind, far more people are looking on their devices at your website. So continually, when I'm doing my website, I have my tablet. If you have a tablet, then I have my mobile, and then I have my desktop. And so I'm filling the spaces on all three. It's like, oh, is it working there? No, maybe I need to change the photo a bit because it's not working on my mobile. Not all content translates to your mobile setting. So that and usually most people, there's studies that have been done, and I see in my statistics, your analytics, you have Google Analytics activated on your website. You can see exactly who's coming onto your website, how long, where they're from, are they male or female, what are their age groups. This is golden information. What buttons are they pressing, and what devices are they using, and a whole bunch more. I see in my analytics that most of the people who come onto my website are using mobile phones. I have to make sure that they can experience what I want them to experience with the mobile. So good to use both orientations. How do people look at your homepage? How do they look at a page? Studies have been done with rapid eye movements, is that people, because we're on the Western world, we're reading from left to right. So people are going from left to right, diagonally across the page, and then again from left to right. So it's in a Z form. So if we know that, we need to use that space. So having buttons right there, because that's where the eye goes. We are orientated from left to right. Having a button, shop now, go to my shop, portfolio. This is an important part that you want to highlight. Maybe you have a workshop or something special happening, use that space with a button with another color, if that's possible within your template. And then you can repeat that just above the fold, because the fold is a very nice horizon line where the eye also sort of settles, and either have a little button so that they can see more of your website, or also press there to take them to where you want them to go. 3 important places on your website. Of course, there's lots to be said about this. You can really make it as elaborate as you want, but I've highlighted 3 specific parts of an artist's website. Of course, the home page. Super important. That's where people are going to get their first impressions. Long before they ever meet you in person, maybe they've picked up your URL, or they've done organic searching online, local artist, the Netherlands, or whatever village you're living in, or a certain genre of art that you're doing, that people are searching and they come onto your website. They come onto your homepage. You want to give them that feeling of welcome, of this is what I'm doing. You want to give them the emotion, that experience that you are looking for, and how you use your images, your words, and your layout will influence that. The second important part, studies have been done, people usually go from visitors from your website, from the homepage to the about page. They want to know more about you, because what's going through the head of the visitor, of your visitor to your website, they are thinking not like, oh wow, great, this artist has such a wonderful website. People are thinking, what's in it for me? Why should I spend my time here? Why should I listen to this person? They want to know, is it validated? Is their time validated? Is their attention validated? These are strangers. These aren't your biggest fans. Your mom, your dad, and your friends, of course, would love to spend time on your website. These are strangers, people who don't know you. There's no investment. You need to make it worth their while. So they'll go from your home page to your about page. Your about page, you're going to share more about yourself. That speaks for itself. And then the third part is your product. So if you have a portfolio page, that's where you're going to showcase more of your work. And you can set up a system, archive it. Is it chronological? Is it in a theme? Are you working in collections? Or it could be that shop area. So people think, okay, this is what she's making. This is the style, the genre. I love it. I love that photo. I feel that emotion. I read more about you. I'm interested. I'm intrigued. I want to know more. Oh, there's a shop. Going to that shop page. It could be people are maybe reoccurring. You can see that also in your analytics. Or people are coming onto your website again and again and again. Sometimes they just stay at your home page, and then the next time they visit your About Me page. Or they're so inspired by your homepage, they skip the About Me page altogether and they go straight to the shopping experience. Then you're doing your job really well, because you want to build trust before they are going to buy something from you. And that usually is a recurring visitor. They've been on your website 5 to 10 times, seen your stuff on Instagram, on Facebook. They've engaged with your art, commenting, liking, and sharing your work. That relationship will grow. And then they come onto that shopping experience. All about trust. So homepage, briefly, it's a landing page. It's like the entrance of your home. People come into that entrance, and then you are going to be the host, a generous host, and going to show them, come into my living room. That's where you can relax and watch a movie. Come into the kitchen. That's where you can be refreshed. We can have a drink. Or come into my study. We can have do the business talk. Where do you want people to go once they visit that home page? It must be easy to navigate. And I think that's the big part of websites. There's no logical system. And when you do this framework, wireframe your website, try and think logically. Like, where are people? What do you need to put on your website? What button? What link? To bring people to where you want them to go in a logical way. Make it really simple. Remember, too many choices, people are going to leave because they don't like things too complicated. So keep that really simple. So your menu, that part in the header, repeated in the footer, how are you going to break it down? So how are you going to break down your portfolio? How are you going to break down your about? Maybe you're doing different things. What's a logical system so people are not losing their way? And then do the 5-second test with your website and with other websites too, because that's how long you'll have when people look at your homepage, especially above the fold. So go to a URL or your URL, have friends do it, open up the laptop, just let them see your above the fold for 5 seconds. It's not very long. Close the laptop or ask them to look away, and then ask them, explain, can you tell me more about myself? You can do that when the coffee shop's open again or the Starbucks. I've done it there before. Just be bold and ask people, do you mind just looking? I'm working on my website. Do you mind just looking? Or someone in your art class or someone that you know in your community, just that doesn't know too much about you. And then have that 5-second test. Is it working? Are you giving just the right information so that people know who you are, what you're doing, and why you're doing it? Right there in the hero image. So that's the 5-second test. Good exercise to do in the next few days. Have people look, or even really get into the head of your visitor. No, it's not just you wanting to put things online, it's how people experience your website. That's the proof is in the pudding. Then the About Me page, and I'll look at it more in detail when we go through the artist reviews, because then I can break it down and show you. It's a place where you share your story. Remember, people don't want facts. I was born here. I lived here. I went to school here. I did this, I did this, I did this. That is fine for a resume, and some people will read that. Most people are not interested. Maybe they look briefly, okay, what school did he or she go to? Very briefly, but it's so much more inspiring to write it in a story form. What did you feel when you first picked up that paintbrush? Why do you love using that genre? Why do you love using that technique? What artist inspired you to become what you are now, or what you aspire to be? So writing more in that story form is far more enticing and interesting. People love stories. Stories are like transporters. They take people on a journey. And so in story form. And if you find it difficult, ask people that have more writing experience, or those content writers that you can go through your content, go through your words. Does it say enough about you? Use images on your About Me page, not just some murky passport photo, but people don't really know who is this. Everything that you put on your website either will add to your message or will distract from your message. So that's why the editing is so important. Make sure you have a photo of yourself that's clear, that's inviting, that's open, and preferably looking into the camera, because the eyes are the mirror of the soul. People want to see. And you don't have to have the whole top model thing. It would just be you. Just, maybe put on an apron, or in the setting of your studio or in your workspace, something relating with your art, depending on your art form. Look in the camera and have some good photos taken and put that on About Me page. You already will have engagement straight away. Otherwise people think, who is she, or what is he doing? And then add some process photos of, you in action, really. You have such a beautiful profession with so many different angles and stories, and you are all about, turning your creativity into some kind of art form. So there's thoughts behind it. You get inspired, and you can add those things to your About Me page. What makes you you, and what's your vision? Not too many words. If you want to have a bigger piece of text, add bullet points. Break it down in little headings, or choose like a headline that you want to highlight, like a quote that you really love, or that you say often, or something that really encapsulates who you are. So use a bigger typography so that it just sort of jumps out. So people see a picture, jumps out, a few bullet points, and they know already about you. You're helping them along. It's easy for them to read. And then look for your layout so that it's easy to follow along. And then the third section is your product. And whether that's your portfolio, where that you're going to be putting a shop, products that you want to highlight, depending on the goal of your website. So that's a different tab. That's where you're going to be taking them. Create clarity and not confusion. So if you are doing originals, reproductions, glissés, all kinds of products, make sure there's a logical order in your shop, or even in your portfolio. Maybe not selling, you are just showcasing who you are. You want to validate yourself as an artist. Make a logical system, either chronological or in a theme. The themes could be colors, themes could be certain techniques that you've used, commission that you've worked on. So there's a logical breakdown of information. So people know, okay, that's a past work or that's an archive. These are for a specific theme or a certain project that you did. These are originals that are for sale. And then these are reproductions. And you know the difference, but very often buyers aren't quite sure. What's the difference between a reproduction and an original? Now you might be laughing, but this is true. Or what's a glissé? What's that high quality? You've got to educate your audience. You can't take things for granted. And the clearer you are in your wording, so that you put that in your title, this is an original fine art piece. You stipulate the size, the technique, whether it's framed, whether it's unframed, whether shipping is included, not included. So you are making it clear. You're taking away objections, you're taking away their questions, so that there is that trust. And trust is important when you are selling. People want to know, like, okay, this is clear. Because if it's confusing, you're losing. They're gone. And you can do so much just in how you communicate, through words, through images, and the choices of your layout to bring people to that place, either to buy, to enjoy, to share, whatever your goal is for your website. Are there any questions at this point? I know there's a lot of information coming at you. I do want to make the transition to go and have a look at a few artists' websites. I think that will help to make it really clear. If you have questions, put them in the comments. Maybe I don't see them all now. I will be reviewing the comments, and then later you can go back and see the answers to them. But let's transition to the artist websites. So hopefully this is helping you break it down into some bite-sized pieces. Let's put that away. And then I'll get the first artist website up. Okay, the first artist is Rachel Ryan. She's from New York City. She's a fine artist, but also works in mixed media and works in reproductions. Let's go to her site. So here you are entering her website experience. This is above the fold. She has chosen for a video as a hero image, large close-up video of her face, her work, details, materials, process. So it's an emotional compilation of her as an artist. So it's got a filter, it's soft, there's been intentional choices of the layout. We have here the announcement bar, which is an important part. If you have that in your templates, that's a great place to use, because the eye goes to the announcement bars. You can highlight certain things. Like she said, the new orders will be shipped in the new year. So that's like something that's happening at the moment. Happy holidays. Then she has a gallery, blog, about, and then here at the prime part of her website, she has shop artwork. So she's telling me straight away that she has a shop. She sells. She's not only blogging. There's not only, oh, let me read more about her. No, there's a shop. So that's right there in the header. And her template, this is a WordPress website. No, it's a Squarespace website. The header and the hero are merged. So it's all made one big hero image. And then using an icon tells me there's more. So if this is intriguing and excited me, then I can scroll further. Choice of heading. You worked hard to get where you are. Celebrate your life with captivating artwork that showcases your taste and brings a touch of culture to your walls. So she's not making this website about herself. She's celebrating the viewer. She's very conscious that somebody is visiting her website, that somebody is coming there and she wants to give them a good experience, celebrating the visitor. So that's a good thing to bear in mind, that you make it about your art visitor, because that is the person who is experiencing it. It's not just for you to showcase your art, how great that is, whether it's a portfolio, but you are at your visitor that is center stage. And here she has a button, a different color, but also in the brand style. You can see this nice golden, also with the letter, with the icon, conscious choice. Discover one-of-a-kind artwork with a click. And she's from New York City, from New York. So that really tells you a story. Be inspired. So this is a section on her website that you can explore her latest paintings. And then you can click on the different paintings. These are some originals, some are reproductions. Let me scroll further down. A buzzing lifestyle is energizing, but can leave little room for pursuits that feed your soul. So she wants to give people that experience, that inspiration for a quiet moment, using also illustrations that are part of her branding, specific coloring, and also highlighting. So it's not a lot of text, as you see, just choosing like keywords to navigate the eye down the website. Trading pieces for your piece, which is one more to do. More to do can start dulling the shine out of beauty around you. So intentional words, intentional topography, and then you see here a photo of her, very clearly being chosen, how to do the photography. I create art that wakes you up to the splendor of connecting with nature, your people, and your spirit. And then right at the bottom, which I really can advise you, I shared that in the previous sessions too, is to start building your email list. So giving your people an opportunity to opt in so that they can join your email list in a legitimate way, and you can communicate with them on a regular basis. And she has made a PDF that people can access if they leave the email about art in New York. And maybe you can do that locally. You can write little PDFs or mini ebooks, or just a nice sheet more about your inspiration, if you've done some travels, something that what's in it for them. What can you give your art audience that really will make their day? And just as a gift for signing up, and then you send content to them on a regular basis through email. That's part of your strategy. Here we see social icons, and then repeat in the footer. The about, gallery, contact, and blog. Good things to have. Your contact for information should be on every single page, because that's when people are like, oh, contact, I want to contact the artist. Then we have a gallery part. She works in collections. There's the Secret Garden collection, intentional choices, large hero image, photos that show emotion, feeling, details. Really, you have to use that screen to show more of your art. It's a cold screen, it's flat. So they're not in a gallery where they can look up close or really experience the spatters or the colors. Your photos need to do the work. And then people have choices. Either they go to the one or the other collection. Once again, you can opt in. There's a contact form. And then you go to the specific collection. So she's really made it very clean and clear. Not a lot of text. Highlighting certain areas, breaking it down into chronological orders. And then the About Me page. Also bullet points, breaking it down into bite-sized pieces, telling more about her story. So a nice photo in the setting of a studio, her workspace, looking into the camera, thinking about what is she wearing, is it part of her brand style? And it can just be an apron or something that people identify with you, using an illustration, a logo, or like a stamp, something that adds to your personality. And this is a photo shoot that she had. You also saw that photo on the homepage. So go through her website, or go and look at websites that really inspire you and see what works. See where you are staying for a longer time. Why is it working, or why is it not working? Is it how the photos have been placed, or how the colors have been placed, or is it just too overwhelming? Is it there's no logical order to it? So that's hopefully just give you some insights. I know we are going a little bit over time. I just want to show you one more website. Fine Artist. If you have to go, not a problem. You can watch the replay. But thank you so much for joining. And then we'll get this one. It's an American artist. And put Tile in there. Tile Duncan is an American artist, established artist, selling very well. Sell-out collections, sell-out exhibitions, intentional choices that she uses on her website, very clear aesthetics, using her name Tile as a hero image with, you can see the palette, her color schemes, and clear navigation. There's fine art, there's books, there's prints, there's accessories in the home, about, and a cart. So she is more established. She has diversified. She's an experienced artist, has a very definite style that she's a very recognizable style. So she's further down the road, and that's something that maybe you're ready for. The fine art, if you have books or prints, she's segmented them there, highlighted certain paintings, added them to her homepage. Now, of course, this is a seasonal product, being the season of Christmas and giving, that she's now highlighted the wallpaper or the wrapping paper, that, of course, in this season of gifts. Some of her artworks are a huge photo of details of all art on shelving, just to, as an appetizer, really inspiring, like, oh, I'd like to know more. And then a possibility to follow her on Instagram, social icons in the footer. And then keep up with Tile, again, using an opt-in form to join her email list. Just want to show her listings. She has fine art, which are divided into originals from the past, and the sold pieces are in between, and then themes. So she's very known for her beach scenes. You see all the pieces that have sold. A lot of them have sold. Just go to a listing. So a listing is when you are going to specify in a list form about your art piece. So this is an original. It has a title. It has the size. It has the price. It has sold. You can choose to leave your sold pieces on your product page, or you can take them to an archive, or sold pieces, or pieces from the past, blasts from the past, whatever you want to call it. It shows the medium and what it's painted on, birchwood, and then a note from Tile. So she just explains a little bit about what inspired her, and then there's options to share the piece on the social channels. There, of course, you can't go to a sales experience because this is a really sold piece. Let's see if we can find one that hasn't sold. The theme Beach Babes. She's got a very clever strategy that she works in these themes. She's really built her brand very distinctly. She promotes on her social channels. She's very clear aesthetic also on her website, and sending regular newsletters. She's really built a collector's base that are just waiting for her pieces to come out, and that people are lining up to buy her pieces. But go through her website as well. There's just a lot of thought being put into it, just how she does the photography, also on her social channels, and she's having success. So good to look at successful artists. What are they doing? What can you learn from them? And then there were some questions I saw. Let me just go here. And we'll hide that. And then I can get rid of these. Let's see the questions in closing. One moment. I just want to get to the questions. Then I can put that in the share screen. Get that there. I see should you have an artist statement? It's nothing there's nothing that you have to have. It's more, what is your goal? An artist statement is very handy and very effective if you're an exhibiting artist. And there are gallerists that want to know a little bit about you. It's often content that they use on their own platforms or that they copy paste on their brochures and flyers and around a certain exhibition or collection that you're making. So having that artist statement makes their job a lot easier, and also for you, it's just good to have some good words that describe what you've been doing. If you're starting out or an emerging artist, I would break it down into not like a whole big chunk of text, because the chances are people aren't going to be reading it. So breaking it down into headings or just some slogans and putting that on your homepage, and especially around the hero, that will be far more effective. And then you can always have a tab to your artist statement, to a resume, to your CV, to more text. But that's sort of, by the way, I also have. But if you're promoting a certain collection, you build in your website, you can build specifically around an opening or a launching of a certain collection, you can add it then more prominently on your homepage or on an artist statement section, but using it intentionally, bearing in mind people aren't reading, they're scanning. How can the text that you're adding, the words that you're adding, amplify that what you're trying to say, so that it adds to the full experience of what the artist or what the viewer is what you want them to experience. And then I have a question. How do you get people to stay on your website? So as long as possible, it's a very distracting place, the online space. It's a good question. How can you get people to stay? And my tip is to have no open endings. Keep people in the loop, as we say, so that on every page there's a link referring. So on your About Me page, you can refer to that new collection that's in your shop. In your shop, you have a link underneath your products that take them to your About Me page, or find out more about an upcoming project, or take them to your blog. So keep it circular. There shouldn't be a dead end on any of your pages. You want people to click and to keep clicking, so that they are going around your website. And of course, it has to be relevant. You don't want to take them around in circles, but you can use buttons very effectively to take people to relevant information, even if maybe it's a past post that you had, or a past blog that you had, or a painting that inspired you, that inspired this new painting. You can take them back to that painting and share a little bit about that. So keeping that loop going, that's it's good to keep the engagement so people stay there longer. And then I saw another question from Bella. Thank you for your questions, Bella. What makes people take me seriously so that I'm not just another website for people to walk through? And I know probably you can feel that can be overwhelming. There's so much out there. It has to do with your personality, has to do with your process, and it has to do with your products. And these are all unique. There's no one like you. It's very specific what you're making, and find ways to communicate that through images, through words, and through your layout. How are you going to bring people on that journey that's specifically you? There are a lot of ways to get people onto your website using your social channels, having clear that URL in your profile, mentioning when you are posting that you have a website. I have new work on my website. Go and check out my website. And I know you can't add links in your Insta posts, but you can refer. People get used to like, oh, you have an active website. Your website is not a one-off. You're not going to make it and then think, okay, that's done, off the list. It's something you're continually refreshing. It's you continually should be part of your art routine. Every Monday, have a look at your website. Is it relevant? Are the links working? Maybe once a month, have a good look at your website. Is it relevant? Maybe there's some old information. Maybe it still says there happy holidays and we already are in 2021. So that it's refreshed and new, and this is not only for your visitor, but it's also for the Google, for the analytics, for the SEO, the search engine optimization. It shows the search engine that you're active. It's not just passive information, you are updating information. So that's important to know. So hopefully that answers your questions. As I said, I will be giving a workshop shortly on the 14th of Jan. It's in closing, before I tell you about my workshop, these are the 4 C's as I close off for this Winning Artist website. This is things that should be going through your mind all the time. What content are you putting on? What images, what words, and how are you going to lay them out? What is it that you're putting on your website? Does it serve the purpose and reach your goals? Is it clear? Confusion gets people to leave. You want to have it clear. Edit, edit, edit. Is it coherent to your style, to your brand styling? Is it the colors that you're using for your buttons? The typography, the wording, is it all coherent? Do people recognize you when they open up your website? Oh, that's Sandra's website. That's her website. That's his website. Just by all the brand styling that you're using. And then consistency, keeping your website refreshed, mentioning your website on your social channels. I have a free download for you. It's a checklist to make sure if all your bases are covered. It's an easy resource to go through. It's free. You can go to my website. It's called at my website /checklist, sonjasmallhere.com. Checklist. Download the checklist and just go through all the points. Do you have all your bases covered? Everything from your home page, your About Me page, and just breaks it down into little checklists so that you can see, or what are you missing? What can you still change and adapt? So that's my gift to you, to help you take those steps in 2021 so that you can start playing a better and bigger game with your art, getting it out there. And then the workshop that I mentioned, that's going to be on the 14th of January. You're free to join in. It's not it's 47 euros, so that it's doable. It's something that maybe you can ask as a gift, or you can invest in your art and your art business. It's a 2-hour training. We really will go far deeper into everything that I've shared today. You are welcome to join in. It's a Thursday morning. If you can't make it at that time, I know some people on other time zones, it's recorded. So if you register, you'll get the recording, you'll get the PDF, you'll get the workbook, and it'll help you just to have everything at hand. You can go through it at your own space and when you have more time, and really start setting up your artist website. So we're going to break all these things down into more details. We're going to be looking at that artist statement. We're going to be looking at how you can DIY more of your own photos, what words you need to use, how can you make that interesting slogan on your homepage, what images are working. And I'll do some more artist website reviews So a lot going on in that workshop. It's very intense. Feel free to join me, 14th of Jan, and you can check it out on my website, /winningwebsites. Okay, guys, in closing, head over to my website. There are resources there, there are podcasts, there are options to join also a coaching call. If you want me to look at your artist websites, then you are free to connect with me, and then we can go through that as in a coaching session. And then here you can see, if you go to my website, I've made an announcement bar with that resource, with the checklist that you can download, and you can access it there. Okay, if I've missed some of the questions, then I'm going to be looking in the comments, and then I can just answer. Either I can DM you, or I can answer them in the comment area. Thank you so much for spending this afternoon with me for the session. I wish you all the best with your creativity, with your art. Also, as we head into the new year, that you start sharing it and communicating more powerfully, with more confidence, with more clarity, so that people can hear and see you in your beautiful art. All right, guys. I will be connecting with you in the next session. In the Facebook community, I'll be sharing about sessions that are coming up, some exciting guests that I have, also in my podcast. So watch that space, and as you can grow and develop in your art and your art business. Alrighty, bye-bye.